What's up, nerds? Back with another video. It is 80-year-old smoking lady voice time because I woke up sick. But despite waking up sick, I wanted to still get a video recorded because I very happily have completed the Genesys dual brick box thing. And I also have a couple deck boxes. And so we're not going to go into deck profiles just yet. I wanted to just quickly, though, go over all of the decks. I know that there are events that have decks, you know, so you can see like, oh, well, Vanquished Soul is the best Genesys deck, or Exo Sister is the best Genesys deck. And don't get me wrong, they are fucking good decks. I'm not saying these decks, I mean, some of them might be good, right? I don't know if they're as good as those decks, right? I'm just saying that I don't think that these players who come from modern Yu-Gi-Oh, where you are establishing a board and you're this like solitaire frame of mind, right? I don't know if those players will come up with the best decks, especially when those invites or duels were invite only. And so I just came up with all these decks because some of them are bad. Some of them are just bad. Some of them have like extremely focused, win conditions, right? However, there are some of these decks that are more toolbox decks and can, set up a board, right? However, something that I like to keep in mind while playing Yu-Gi-Oh is, life points and big monsters, because you can have the best board in the universe, right? But if nothing can beat over 2,800 and there's no way to get rid of it, or if there's no way to stop someone who can deal 8,000 in a turn, there are just certain win conditions in Yu-Gi-Oh that are absolute. If your life points get reduced to 0, if I've got a big ass fucking monster, right? There's just, certain realities that these modern players with like, oh, but I can, with 2 cards, go +6 and leave all these guys on board. Like, okay, does that mean shit if I drop a super mega destructo robot, 4,000 attack, 4,000 defense, or is it 5,000, right? But like, what if I just put him on board and make him untargetable and undestroyable? What you gonna fucking do then, pussy? So that's kind of like, I'm not saying every deck is a train like turbo deck, but that's kind of, my ideas, where I'm taking this format, because who knows? That's for me, the best part about Genesys is that it's people who have deck ideas, have decks that they want to make good, and they say, you know what? Hey, it turns out that I can play this deck. It turns out I can play Constellar because none of the cards are worth any points, and I can make this deck have all the draw support in the game because none of these draw cards are worth any points, and then I can put all my points into some stupid card that just like, hey, look, I can put this card on board all the time and recycle it. Or just, this deck is good. This deck can get to 8,000 life points really quick. But it was just, never had, like, before I couldn't play 3 Pot of Greeds, but now I can play 3 Pot of Greeds in the main deck. Fuck it, right? So, anyway, this is not the in-depth deck profile of every single deck. It's just going to be kind of just going over, taking out the boxes, looking at the deck in the box, real quick, talking about it, and then putting it away, and then again later we'll do more in-depth deck profiles. And also, finally, before we get into it, because it's been fucking 5 minutes and we still haven't done the actual deck profiles, last thing is please comment if there's anything that you suggest, any opinions, any extra cards I missed, anything. I mean, we're not gonna do deck profiles, but if you're like, oh, bro, you're playing Inzectors, are you gonna be playing this card? Because my Inzector deck is not the worst, but it's not really that great. So if there's anything like that for any of these decks where it's like, oh, did you know that they printed this support card or that this thing or whatever, please let me know, because then when we go over the deck, maybe we'll have some additions before the deck comes out, or, more stuff like that. So anyway, man, I am out of breath already just from talking for fucking 5 minutes. Anyway, let's get into the deck mess box of everything. All right, so this is our big box of decks, and there are 2 decks that have not been changed up completely, and one of these decks in here is not 100 points just yet, but everything else is 100 points, and you'll see. We'll still go over the deck because it's really easy for it to be changed to 100 points. It's literally just 1 card that's got to be taken out, or I'm sorry, 3 cards, 1 copy of 1 card, and 2 copies of another, I believe. Or I can take out the 1 card and play 2 copies of the other card, and then probably just change like a couple, add like some draw support cards. But this is the brick, the big deck box, and then I've got 2 deck boxes over here that are my modern and Genesis decks, and we'll just do these ones really super quick because it's real easy. So I've got Adamantipator inside one, and this is the modern build right now. And it's because it plays, well, as you can see, the Barrier Drought. These are 100 points inside of Genesis, but I actually like this deck for Modern a whole lot. It plays, well, I play 3 Nibiru, 3 No Material, 3 Dark Ruler, and this is I've got a Treacherous Trap Hole. Well, I've got 2 Treacherous Trap Holes. One of them's in my Genesis deck, and one of them's in my Water deck, and I don't have the one for in here, so just pretend this is a Treacherous. But I actually really like this deck a whole lot, and for Genesis, it's actually pretty freaking good too, I think. Again, none of these cards are any points, and so it's got my Modern version and Genesis version in the same deck box, and similarly, over here, we've got the Water deck, which this is my Genesis Water deck. There's a Treacherous. And this one is just, Synchro Turbo. Essentially, you can only play 1 Dragoons, 1 Neptibus, and then I actually play in this deck. I still play the Colcianth, but you can see I play Tidal, and I really love this fucking card. Balin Glacia, the Deep Sea City. This card's hilarious, boosting up by 1 or 2. There's a lot of cheeky plays you can do with putting the cards on top of your deck, especially when you can draw with Moray. I still think MCL is a great hand trap, and I don't play any other hand traps because, again, we're just running the 3 Deep Sea Minstrel, and it's just got a whole bunch of synchros. But so this is the Genesis and the Modern. So these guys have their own deck boxes because they are, again, they've got Modern, parts of them. But so now I'm going to switch the camera down. Just wanted to show you guys where, what I'm going to be taking from looks like. And actually, so these are just, this is a deck that I wanted to make for Genesis, but I ended up didn't making it. Because the link is too good, Plunder Patrol. And then this is actually, so what I'm working on right now is because all of these have mains and extras, like duh, right? But they don't have side decks. So basically what I'm going for with these right here, and I've got like what I want, or like ideas for what I want, like as you could tell, and this is a 0 point side deck. I'm pretty sure Lancia is points, so this guy is not in there, but like Mistaken Arrest, Shared Ride, none of these cards are points. DD Designator's not points, Mind Crush isn't points, and so I'm getting a black version and a white version. And so when I'm at locals and people can play me in Genesys, they don't have to worry about any side deck. They don't have to worry about any main or extra. They can just pick up and play. So without further ado, let's get into some of these decks. All right, so let's go over our first of the Genesys decks from the box. Again, we're not doing the whole deck profile. We're just going very quickly looking at the deck. So this first deck is not just a Karakuri deck, but a Karakuri Gear Gaia deck. And so there's a little bit of point messing around with this deck because right now I've got 2 Soul Charge in the main deck because this deck is actually like everything in this deck is 0 points except for the Soul Charge, which is 50 points. So I've got 2 of them in here, which makes this deck 100 points. But I do want to try and fit Beast and Barkion in here somewhere because right now, I mean, yeah, buddy. This fucking card, these guys right here, the Super Galactic Galaxy Robot and Gustav Max, and then Dreadnoid. Some of these cards are hilarious, especially with swapping. This is a pretty good turn 1 deck. If you could make it to turn 3, this deck almost never loses because you can switch anything from attack to defense. You can burn for 2,000, so you've just got to do 6,000 life, and all these guys are huge. This is, if you've not even a full combo, but a half combo usually can get you to the 6,000. It plays a lot of like ridiculous level 7s because you can, you know, boost attack, see if they have anything left. If they have stuff left, you know, you can Draco Sack, Big Eye, Gear Gigant's really good, Zen Mains is really good. It's just a overall decent deck. But again, you know, coming from a older Yu-Gi-Oh point of view, these decks don't like establish boards. Like I don't have like, you know, I'm sure there's rank 4s. Well, I know from the Rock deck, there are rank 4s that can stop targeting, rank 4s from that can negate, etc. I'm not playing any of those in here. This is mainly a beatdown deck with some little splashes of control, but this is, you know, like a big time, big beefy monster. What you're going to do about the big beef deck, next up, we'll take out Genesys deck number 2 inside here. Oh yeah. So this is my Dragoonity Dragon Ruler deck, Dragoonity Destiny Hero Malicious. And this deck actually pretty much was untouched by the deck or by the format of Genesys points. Nobody really like thinks about Dragoonities, so none of this stuff's points. The only stuff that's points is like some of the dragon support, but none of it's 100 points. So you get to play all of the various draw support that you'd want. Let's go over here, take this one out. What do we got here? Oh, yes. This is probably one of my favorite decks. I forgot, I gotta sleeve these guys. I've got my sleeves over there. But so these are just the standard 0 point extra deck stuff, right? Because, which you don't really need a whole lot of. I mean, it's here for you to use, right? But this deck is just the big boy Dragon Ruler deck. And you've got, oh my god, I mean, hold on, switch these. You've got all of the disgusting, oh yeah, because did you know that Darkness Metal is 0 points, by the way? This card, Return for the Dragon Lords, is some points, but none of these cards are points. And I literally just went like, you know what, fuck it. Let's just play triple warnings. We've got all the Dragon Ruler stuff. We've got Super Rejuvenation, an absolutely disgusting card. And I think the only thing I actually have to do in this deck, because it's 43 cards or 44 cards, and I actually have to take out the titles because I just play the three elements. Yeah, I got to take out the titles because the titles put me over points wise, but I didn't get a chance to do that before this video. So this is what I mean. Like, we're not going to do the whole deck profiles now because some of the deck profiles are not exactly, you know, what I'm looking for. Okay, so this is a deck that is right now got 3 cards, too many. It's almost exactly the points I need to play. It's almost perfect. There are only just, so it is, let's go over here. It is wind-ups, as you can tell with the Hunter. So this is actually Mike Albany's wind-ups from Top 16 ARGS, or no, from one of the YCSs. This is literally, so actually fun story. I picked him up before, I picked him up at college to bring him home the weekend before he played this and Top 16 at the YCS. But so literally, I'm just going to be taking out Hunter, taking out one Zen Matey because he plays 3 in here. Where's the third one? Here we go. So take out a Hunter, take out a Zen Matey, and then I think I have like, another like 20 points to play with, something like that, 20, 30 points to play with. But I still like wind-ups. They're a good level 3 toolbox, or I mean rank 3 toolbox. There's a lot of good rank 3s. There's a lot of good rank 4s. And it just, has some good recycling and just, a toolbox deck. Because, obviously you can't play the hand wrap, can't play the hand rip. So this is, this deck, I forgot. This deck I just play for fun. This deck is not point, I did not fix this one for points. Because, I totally forgot about this one. This one's just, I just play this one for fun. Because this is my, where is he over here? This is my Shooting Star Dragon, turbo deck. This is not a, Genesys deck. I just really love comboing. I love Shooting Star Dragon, and this is just a plant deck that revolves around Shooting Star Dragon, and it's really not that good. I mean, it gets off Shooting Star a good amount, but I totally forgot about this deck because I just have glossed over it so many times that I just like, put it into the Netherland of my brain. This is actually, shout out, this is not, I mean, Mike Albany's played this deck, but he did not, but this is not his list. Although he could say it technically is his list, but it's like semantics, right? So this is actually, shout out to your boy, this is actually Rizwan Khan's Infernity deck list. And again, Mike's argument would be that, well, he top 16'd this same event with the exact same deck list because they're all boys and they all played the same list. Infernities was the first deck I took to a YCS. I took this deck to YCS Toronto, and so for nostalgia's sake, I just made this. I think the only thing I'd need to do to Genesys point this is take out one soul charge, take out maybe a card from the, I think it's the soul charges and the instant fusions. Okay, so I know, not been the best about Genesys decks because I have glossed over in my head some of the deck boxes or decks in these deck boxes. However, now, these part of the little stuff where they've got like the little flip lids, these ones I actually have. These ones are definitely Genesys decks. So this one, oh my god, I love throwing this card into so many Genesys decks because all this stuff is mainly monsters, and it's got some, it's got its own spell trap support. Obviously, well, not trap if I'm playing this, but they've got their own supports. It's got a lot of monsters, so I get to play the majority of those cards, and then I just fucking throw this bad boy in there. But anyway, so as you can tell, this deck has the soul charges, right? This deck is the train deck, baby. The Machina Train Infinity Track deck that I actually posted a video of earlier, because you've got all these different cards for, I mean, you've got like Reborns, Searching, stuff to get, ways to get through the deck. There's a million different ways to combo. The level manipulation with these Infinity Track stuff is fucking hilarious. And then this deck just plays literally, I mean, this deck is the fucking train deck. All the big carriers, all these stupid cards. I mean, I'm literally in love with this deck, and this deck was 0.0 points. So I was literally like, fuck it, let's throw 2 soul charges in there, because it doesn't matter if I can't deal battle damage, if I just burn your life points with all these huge stupid mecha train monsters. So that is this one, 100 points. Next up for our deck boxes, this is actually another deck that I had on the channel that is now 100 points. And this is the Noble Knight deck. I don't know why my camera's not focusing. I think it's because of all the shiny cards. But this deck is another, like, nothing, add all the support that, you know, it's got its own Rhoda, it's got its own Reborn, it's got all these crazy equip cards, all this way to go through the deck. And so I literally just took all my points and said, fuck it, let me put all the Solemn Judgments inside this deck, let me put all the Solemn Warnings, and then to finish it off, let's just throw in some Pot of Greeds. Just because this deck had so much going for it already that I just needed a little bit of control, a little bit of draw power. And I mean, these guys, it doesn't seem like it's the best having just the one guy on board, but if you have one of these guys or one of these guys with, you know, 3 equipped spells and stuff, and then you got 2 set traps, plus you've got a nice little toolbox of all these different guys that you can have, you know, XYZ stuff, you know, it's not a, you're not building a huge board, but these guys are big-ass beaters, and you have a lot of utility and a lot of draw power recursion, and it's actually really consistent, especially when, hold on, I'll take this last guy out. Oh, I shuffled him away. But when you have the Phantom Knight trap, wherever, yeah, look at that, I ripped out 3rd card. But this trap really does add a lot to the consistency, being able to just get you there turn 1. I just love this deck. Okay, for our next Genesys deck, we're going to whip out, what deck is this? Oh, shit. The Dark World deck, baby. Oh my god, Grapha, you big, beautiful son of a bitch. It's a shame that this guy's not 2,800. 27 is good, but man, if he was 28, it'd be insane. But this deck is... So actually, I don't play the golds. These guys can come out. Because the deck is actually 42 cards. But I think that this deck is actually pretty good. You can only play 1 snow wherever I put him. Here it is. So you can only play 1 snow. You can't play any Silvas. And I can only play 1 Dark World Dealings. However, I can play... Well, I do play triple Dark Honest, triple Skullmeister, and... Danger Engine, because I really like the Dangers, and I think they're pretty good, and they all stack with Grapha, level 8s. Gates is at 3, Drag Down's at 3, Dealings, or I mean, Lightning's good, and really, there are some pretty decent, I mean, Dark Smog, DD Crow, you've got your Deck Devies always live, yeah, Mind Crushes are really good, and then there's just a whole bunch of just random ass level 8, or I mean rank 8 Exceeds in here. But combine that, this deck with Tour Guides, and you've actually got a pretty consistent deck. Obviously, it's not as good as if you had Silva, but Silva is literally 100 points, which is fucking insane. Like, I wish Silva was 50 points, because it would have made this deck definitely just... I mean, well, duh, you know, he's a... level 5 that when you discard, you summon himself, but it would be really nice to have him in this deck, but I still think it works fine without it, especially because Grapha is just gnarly. All right, and for the next Genesys deck, we have the infamous Dark Arm Dragon Turbo. I actually need to get another one of these to put in here, but this is actually the Insector deck, and this Insector deck is actually more like a rank 5 turbo type of deck. It plays both Giga Wheels and Giga Mantises because of the revive effects. You've got your Ladybugs and Hornets, so you can do all sorts of fun stuff. And then it actually, because Insectors I like Insectors, the way they get around certain things. So instead of playing hand traps in this deck, I actually doubled down on the banishment aspect. So in here, we play the debunks, we play the dimensional fissures, and then we focus heavily. We've got the different dimension reincarnation, we've got the allures for draw power, and so you can make leviers all day. And then you've also got just a whole bunch of just like crazy XYZ support. I love Exostag. I think he's such a good card. Maybe not good, but I think he's a really great out for a ton of different things. I'm also a huge Thunder Charger fan, so you can do all these silly little things and then drop Thunder Charger on top and attack or do whatever you want. And I just like this as a deck. So, I built it. All right, our next Genesys deck actually is missing 2 cards, which I'm going to be getting from my boy. So I'll still go over it, but it is missing 38 card deck, and it is actually the Monarch deck because, man, the Monarchs have some pretty nutty support. Play triple upstart, but I mean like Pantheisms, March, Tenacities, and then Stormfronts. Like, I think that this deck's kind of hilarious. Again, simple deck, not establishing a board. There's no extra deck cards. Very simple. But I mean, when you've got dudes that are where is he? Hold on in here. Well, so I mean, all the Monarchs are big, right? But we got 28 big ones, 24 big ones. It's kind of hilarious. Battle Fader. You just end, pass, let your opponent build this board, drop a Battle Fader on him is really kind of funny. Low key deck, definitely not the strongest in the box, but I think that a lot of this stuff is like rock, paper, scissors. There's decks that beat other decks, and this is one of the decks that might not be the best on its own. However, inside this big cube of deck boxes, it does have its place. And that's kind of why I like to have this, because, it gives it a nice variety, a nice little ecosystem. Because again, the idea is I'm just bringing this big box with me, and no matter how many boys I have, everybody can have a deck, everybody can have a side deck, everybody can play Yu-Gi-Oh! And so that's the Monarch deck. All right, the next deck box is, oh yeah, look at this guy on top. God damn. This deck is so good. I love this deck. The Evil Swarm deck. I mean, if you don't know what Evil Swarms do, I'm not going to go into it. We're just going to go into some of the gnarly, I mean, like, shit, playing all the Solemns. We've got some points back here. But Ophion is kind of hilarious. So Ouroboros is the only card that's points in this deck. Ophion, the nutty card in here, isn't actually any points. So it made it really easy to build this deck, because I was like, okay, I can just play the deck and literally throw in some more D-Fissures, but then throw in a bunch of Solemns, and this deck is all set and ready to go. The only thing that I might try to fit in here point-wise is if I can fit in some allures for some draw support. That would be kind of the one thing I'm trying to see about fitting into this deck. All right, so that is the Genesys Cube box and the Genesys decks, and where I'm thinking about these decks and how they're going. And I'll do more deck profiles later. I just wanted to kind of get this video out because I am going to be behind this week. I could tell today, I thought I was feeling okay, and I felt like I was feeling okay, but even just like talking for this video and standing up and like doing stuff, I mean, like, I am sicker than I thought. I mean, it feels like you know, I'm like super fatigued. And it feels like, you know, so I've got like the throat thing, you know, the 80-year-old woman smoking voice, right? But I'm like, you know, I think I'm going to try, if I can, to go out for like a walk, just to do like some sort of walk to get myself sweating. I've been drinking fluids all day, obviously. But so I know I'll be behind on other videos this week. So I figured, you know, while I'm here, I've got the stuff here, I'm ready for it. Let me just go over this video and get it uploaded. So anyway, that is the Genesys deck cube stuff. Please comment below any ideas for any of the decks, any ideas for any extra deck cards. If you saw something in the video that like flashed over and you're like, hey, what was that? You know, like what are you doing over there? Please comment below. And anyway, thank you very much for watching. Smoke grass, eat ass, be excellent to each other, and I will see you in the next video. Deuces.